Joining me today on the Capitol Show, Republican Lieutenant Governor, candidate for Virginia, John Reid. How are you today? You're campaigning, yeah?
I am doing great. I'm in Hampton, Virginia today, where I just did an event with Governor Youngkin and Winsome Sears and Jason Miyares, and it was great. And it was for the delegate here in Hampton, AC Cordoza, who is really getting a lot of attention in Hampton and doing a great job. So I was excited to come from Richmond, and I've been all over the state all weekend, so it's been a lot of driving.
So you and Governor Youngkin, we can say, bridge under the water. There is no attacks anymore. There's no asking for you to withdraw, or
oh no, that's in the past. And I think when somebody actually looks at that issue, they're going to find out that everything was a lie, and it was a kind of a nasty, awful thing to do to somebody. And I think the governor got put in a bad situation. I got put in a bad situation, and Virginians were put in a bad situation. But one thing everyone should always know about me, I'm never going to back down to bullies or liars or people who do bad things.
You're not leaving the race, that's for sure.
No, I'm in it all the way to the end.
Perfect. Let's go a little bit into your background. You worked at in the U.S. Senate, in the Chamber of Commerce. You are also a commentator. You have a professional media background. How did this experience prepare you to preside over the Virginia Senate?
Yeah, it's really important that you have someone who has some experience in politics, and I've been around it my entire life. You know, my father represented my county, Henrico County, for 18 years. I volunteered on campaigns, some of them major successes and some of them not so successful for decades. I'm 54 years old, and so I volunteered for the Republican Party in Virginia for many years. But I think it's even more important that you have someone who has a business background, who can talk to other business leaders and evaluate legislation about whether this will help us bring business to Virginia or whether it will hurt us when we try to recruit business. And Republicans are often criticized for being only caring about rich people. And I don't think that's true. Republicans do care about making sure that business can expand.
Yeah.
And people without a lot of money can have jobs. And that's the number one thing where the government can help you or it can hurt you.
Yeah, in your campaign trail, you have spoken a lot about lowering business taxes, reducing regulation, and eliminating the car tax. So what is your specific plan to accomplish these changes without cutting critical services?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, we're going to have to be very sober and thoughtful, because the federal government, as you know, is almost $37 trillion in debt. And I think I'm the only politician in America, because it's unpopular, who will tell you things are going to have to change. And when you talk about critical services, we're going to have to decide what those services are, because there is no way that everything's going to stay the same with that level of debt. Now, Virginia has to have a balanced budget. Thank goodness our Constitution requires that. The problem is that the state budget of Virginia is built on federal money coming to the state. Medicaid is the big example right now that everyone is worried about. And President Trump has tried to keep the system afloat by getting rid of people who would have gotten benefits who didn't deserve to get benefits. That's controversial. I know that's painful for some people, but we have to make tough decisions if we're going to survive. When it comes to the car tax, we're fortunate that in Virginia we have a surplus right now. And my immediate solution is to use that surplus to cover the bills that the localities are expecting to be covered by the car tax. And then I'll be completely honest with you. Republicans and Democrats alike are going to have to go into a room and not play politics and be responsible and start making some tough decisions and recalibrate the tax structure in Virginia. One of the main reasons is that Tennessee doesn't have an income tax.
Yeah.
And we're losing a lot of business to states that don't have an income tax. And everybody has to pay a tax. I'm not saying that we're going to live in a state where there are no taxes, but we need to be smarter about the way we structure the tax proposals and plans in Virginia, because there are 49 other states that would like to steal the jobs from us. And we need to be thinking 10 and 20 years down the road, not just about today.
Yeah, this is remind me of what you said about law-abiding citizens. You side with them, and you oppose what you see as leniency toward criminal. We have an open border. We are dealing with this issue. What does a strong, fair criminal justice system look like under your vision, in your opinion? How we solve this?
One of the things that I've noticed, and I've been to 113 countries around the world. I've lived in the Middle East. I've traveled extensively in Central and South America. And there are different cultures that you begin to witness. And in some cultures, people do not think that it will be acceptable for their reputation or for their life to be committing crime. They have to be very careful and abide by the laws.
Yeah.
And I want to live in a free society like the American tradition, but I have to say we've got to come up with a way to change the minds of those who, in the last 10 years, have been conditioned to think that it's okay. Nothing's going to happen. I can rob the store. I can steal from the business. I can attack someone and nothing will happen. We must show them that there are consequences for that violent, illegal behavior. And unfortunately, the Democrats, I think some of them have not so nice plans, but some of them are just very soft-hearted and don't understand human nature. They try to come up with excuses constantly. So I would like to make sure that every law that is passed is strict, that it is applied across the board. White people, black people, old people, young people. It doesn't matter to me what neighborhood you're in. You should be held accountable for your behavior. Yeah. And should not allow people who have already proven on multiple occasions that they're violent to be released back into society. You get one chance. You don't get 3 chances.
Yeah. They have to go to recreation. One more question about childcare. You supported an initiative called Academic Excellence Agenda. And I'm going to ask you, if you get elected, what are the first 2 policy issues you will pursue, and how will you measure their success about childcare?
Yeah, well, childcare is an issue that the Democrats are correct to point out. There are more and more families where both parents are out of the house for extended times with jobs. Let's be honest. In most parts of the state, you need 2 incomes to keep up, to pay the mortgage and pay for the food and everything. So I want to get rid of the regulations so that the lady down the street, who when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, she would take 3, 4, 5 kids and take care of them in her house during the day. And you'd pay her a little bit of money. She didn't have huge insurance rates. She didn't have inspectors coming into her home. She didn't have an obligation to do all of these things that the government is requiring. She could just take care of the kids. I don't want to leave children unprotected. I think it's important that children are protected and that we monitor this. But we've made it difficult for individuals to take care of kids, for churches and other religious institutions to take care of kids. The Democrats want to create a bureaucracy that costs a lot of money. They want to take money from one person and give it to another. I want to give you tax breaks so you never have to pay the money into the government, and then you can pick your own childcare. And that's a really big difference in the mindset of Democrats and people like me who are Republicans.
Yeah.
You asked about the education plan. This is very controversial, and I am not scared of saying controversial things if I think they will help. And I think that students in Virginia should have mandatory uniforms.
Yeah. You called about this reforms in schools.
Yeah. School resource officers who are empowered to discipline children immediately. And
anti-Western content.
Well, I want to bring that up too. There are a lot of narratives that are being taught in classes that mock and ridicule all of the ancestors in the United States. Now, I'm not stupid. there are a lot of people who did things in the past that we should not admire and that we should question and we should scrutinize. But you can tell a family story about someone in your own family who may have made mistakes that you wouldn't agree with today. You can tell that story that will make the child in your family still love and respect your family, or you can tell the story in a way that will make them hate your family. And I think we need to be very cautious that we prepare students to be good citizens who value the culture and the society that they are inheriting, and that their motivation should be to make it better, not to tear it down.
Mm-hmm. To integrate into society, be a good person in the future. I have a question. You said you worked in the Middle East. First, we see now the Trump administration is leaning toward sanctions on Iran, and there is some negotiations that are stopped right now. What is your vision for foreign policy, and how you assess the Trump administration dealing with peace and assessing peace in the Middle East?
Well, I think President Trump tried very diligently not to have a bomb with Iran. I don't think he wanted to do what he did in Iran. I think he was trying to bring them to the negotiating table to stop the nuclear weapons that no doubt have been fabricated there. And there was a certain attitude that wouldn't cooperate with President Trump. And, you know, when I lived in Kuwait and I lived in Bahrain, I didn't know this at the time. It took me a few months to find out. There were contracts paid for by Iran where they were trying to kidnap American businessmen and others for ransom money. That sends a terror mindset against Westerners who are in the region. Mm-hmm. And it also had the potential to have a chilling effect on the relationship between the United States government and foreign governments. And Iran was behind that. So I'm no fan of the current leadership of Iran. The crazy thing is I have a number of friends who are Persian, who are Iranian.
But they face this mullah regime, of course. They want reforms, they want freedom. Yeah. So we see now that Trump is talking, and Tulsi Gabbard is gonna speak about tons of proofs and documents that lead to impeachment for Obama as a traitor. So what is your approach on this?
I think everyone should read with great sobriety and clarity every document that's presented. It is worrisome and horrible the way President Trump has been treated. Lie after lie after lie.
About Russia.
Even if you don't like President Trump, it's okay. If you don't like him, I'm not going to argue with you. But every American, whether they are a citizen who works at a very basic job or whether the President of the United States, deserves to be treated fairly and honestly. And I am very upset that it appears that there was a concerted effort within the Democrat Party, within the bureaucrats of the federal government, and the leadership of the media, who we thought would be neutral and would be fair, to try to take out President Trump. And something has to be done to try to prevent that from ever happening again. We just can't have people who will lie and cheat and steal and try to incarcerate their political rivals. Politics is ugly. We don't agree on a lot, but we can't have people crossing the line to that. So I want to read the documents. I want to have a full objective understanding, and then we'll make some decisions about what punishment, if it's appropriate, is handed out.
What's going on in Gaza, John? You're a journalist originally, and of course, the world is a big. We are living in a big globalization. So what's happening in Gaza can affect everywhere. How do you think that President Trump can deal and make a solution to have peace? Two-state solution is no longer on the table, as the Trump administration said. So what is your point of view here?
Yeah, it's been a long-running problem, hasn't it? And Gaza was supposed to be one of the solutions to the long-running problem. When I was a journalist, and I was very young, in my 20s, the buses were exploding in and around Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and then the wall was built. And then I went to the Middle East. I saw the wall. I saw the fear on the part of Israelis and the suffering on the part of other people. The problem is Hamas. The terrorist mindset has got to stop. And after October 7th, which I do believe was real, unfortunately, and the slaughter, that was against innocent people. That wasn't against the military. Not that that makes it different, but it is different to attack innocent civilians and young people and women and families. I think that was such a horrible situation that it's going to be difficult for us to fix this unless Hamas goes away and unless those who are very concerned about the issues in the region affirm that they won't tolerate terrorism anymore. And until that happens, I just hate this, but I think we're in a very difficult time where a lot of innocent people are going to suffer. And I hate that. I don't like that.
Yeah. There is a price high price for this. John, what is your links to support your campaign? Can you tell our audience how you're doing in the polls, if there is any polls, and how to support you financially?
Yes, well, thank you for that, because my opponent, the Democrat, was just given $1 million from the Democrat Lieutenant Governors Association. No one's ever seen anything like it. The Democrats want to buy these elected offices. Meanwhile, I'm going around every day in my car, driving to Hampton, to Bristol, Virginia, to a place called Date this weekend where they just had flooding. I was in Roanoke and then in Blacksburg, and then I was on the eastern shore near the Atlantic Ocean on the island of Tangier, which is very remote, and there are only 400 people. I'm trying to do the work to prove to the people of Virginia, of all different backgrounds, that I want to be reasonable and responsible and fair and represent them. So if someone wants that kind of leadership from someone who loves this state and loves the people of this state, you can go to John Reid for Virginia. My last name is R-E-I-D, johnreid4virginia.com. You can read more about me and my background, about the positions on the issues. And of course, there is that donation page, which I would very much be thankful if people make donations. And I would warn people, I've seen a bunch of polls. The first poll that came out had me 2 points ahead. Then there was a poll that showed me tied. Now there's a poll that shows me 9 points down, all within 3 weeks.
We're still in November, and it's so far from now to November. So things will change.
And most people aren't paying attention. So I need for more and more people to pay attention, and more people who've had an opportunity to hear me to tell someone, go and look at this website, and hopefully you'll like me and you'll feel confident that I'll be reasonable and responsible and fair.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, John. We wish you all the best, and thank you for this interview.
Oh, thank you for having me.